Yo, my guy.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing good. How's the day going, man?
Yeah, it's been all right. It's been all right.
Yeah,
Just trying to take today just to kind of just chill out and just kind of protect my energy.
yeah, man. That's sick. That's actually sick. I saw that actually. I know lockdown ended. I think I saw in your story like yesterday. You were out having a beer, man. That was nice. That was nice. Seemed like you were out just enjoying yourself.
I've been I've done it in London twice now, and I did it back here in Swindon once. And to be fair, I'm not going to do it again for a while
Fair, fair play.
because well, one, it's bloody freezing.
Hmm.
Like, so only really allowed outside, and like you order a pint and you got wait, you're waiting an hour.
Really?
Because yeah, like all
Wait,
the
is that how?
pubs are like they're all short staffed.
What?
Yeah, like they're all short staffed, and there's loads of people there, and you got to sit outside, and yeah, it just kind of like ruined the experience for me. It's nice to kind of like catch up with mates and just have a pint, but like yeah, kind of like yeah, I'm probably gonna wait till restrictions are lifted a bit more next month till I do it, but
Yeah, that sounds fair, man. That sounds fair. So, just how have you felt with like lockdown ending then? Because I know obviously, well, it's not ended, but we're getting there. How has it affected you? Because I know obviously, a loads of people have been indoors now. How are you feeling like being able to get out and being you know able to see people and stuff?
uh it's weird. It's kind of weird to be honest, because like I'm kind of like a recluse anyway.
Really?
Like I'm self-employed. I work from home. I don't like interact with that many people on a day-to-day basis.
Mm,
So like, yeah, it's when it first started, I was kind of like built for it.
yeah.
So, yeah.
No, really.
But at the same time, it was more like gyms closed. Like you couldn't meet people and stuff like that, and just having that little thing like taken away from you, just kind of like messed up. Yeah,
Yeah,
like just fucked me a little bit, really, if I'm
yeah,
honest.
yeah. Yeah, no, I get what you mean, man. I get what you mean. And obviously you talked about what's it called? You being self-employed and a lot of people have started side hustles. And I know obviously you do graphic design, right? So um talk to
Yeah.
us about that because obviously just I wanted to do an intro as well, right? Because I think I didn't want to start with, like just it being so, structured and stuff. But guys, this is someone who's done tour merch for Hunt Show with his Mind Your Business tour, Scorcher, O2 Islington, the real gets with his GIG campaign. Joe Whelan, man, we've got him on the talk. So this guy's a big get. So like, I know obviously we started casually, but I just wanted people to know like who we've got on. I wanted people to know who we've got on and who we're bringing on. So I should have done it at the beginning, but welcome you to a podcast. But anyway, talking about like
I'll be honest, bro. I didn't even realize we started until just now.
yeah, no, no, man. I don't like it to be like really like formal and stuff. I just want it to be chill. That's hence why I asked you about your day because I don't want it to be like a thing where it's all structured and stuff. But yeah, man. Talking
Yeah,
about COVID
definitely.
and side hustles, a lot of people are indoors now or have been indoors. They've maybe started businesses, maybe started another side hustle. You do graphic design, man. So how did you get into that? How did you get into graphic design? Because a lot of people now probably got into it just because it's a new hobby, or they thought, I can make some money on the side of this. But it seems like you've been doing it for a while now. So how did that come about, man?
All right, we're gonna have to like rewind back years. um, Basically, I went. I always used to like drawing and stuff like that. I did art at A level and got an A level in art and stuff like that, but didn't really pursue it after that. Um, I went into I basically got moved. I basically moved out of like moved out and got a job in a warehouse, and I worked there for about 10 years.
Wow.
Like yeah, dead end, like miserable job. when you're in that kind of like, I don't know, when you're in that routine, I suppose you don't really get into like, you don't really think about what you really want to do in your life. You're living week to week or paycheck to paycheck or whatever, and it's just kind of like, you know, you get comfortable and you just like, I don't know, you don't. Well, me personally, I didn't really see any kind of like bigger picture. I don't know. I think honestly, when I first started like messing around with graphic design, because I had a mate who like local artist who just needed some graphics for some things, and I was like messing around on Photoshop and stuff like that. So I was just like, I would just like just bang his graphics out for him. They weren't very good or anything like that, but it was more like, you know. But I think it was one time I did that, and then I did one, and he posted it on Facebook or Twitter or something like that, and I literally had someone offering me money to do this. And I don't think I even like said, no, I just do it for free. I was just doing it for a laugh, or, you know.
Really?
So
Wow.
yeah. I didn't even accept the money that first time, and I did it. I just did something for them. I don't know if they used it or not, but then it kind of like a flick switch, and it's like, oh, I can, if I actually get good at this, I can actually like quit my job and do this as a job. That's much better, you know.
Amazing. Yeah, no, that's yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And bruv, what you're saying right there, man, this is why, like,
Mm.
when I started seeing your work, I thought it was sick because, you know, listing off again the people that you've worked at the beginning, you know, obviously you started small, but now you're doing too much for a lot of UK artists. But I think I looked on your page the other day, and your first sort of work was for it was like a cartoon confirmation. I think it was for like Carmen the Ghost camping, I believe. And like just
Oh
look,
no, yeah.
yeah, looking on that first post and looking on what you're doing now, it's sick, man. But going back to what you're saying, man, like,
I'm going to stop you right there.
yeah,
That is that. My account's only like a year old because my
okay,
old account got hacked before that. So I've been on Instagram for about, well, since it started. Like,
really,
it's a shame really, because you'd be able to see the progression, because
yeah,
literally
yeah.
I only started that account last year, so I was only posting like my work that I'm really happy with. You
Mm,
know, so you don't. There's no really. It's not really. You can't really see the progression when I started doing this about 6, 7 years ago. You know,
yeah,
which is a shame really. But yeah, that was just like a little like fun thing I did for a friend
hmm,
of a cat. You know, and that's what I first started like. That's what I first started doing
yeah,
when I first got into like graphics. I learned how to like create kind of like digital illustrations on Illustrator,
hmm,
and that's what I was known for at the beginning. Actually, it
really,
was kind of like cartoons. Like, you remember those old like kind of like hype Simpsons style
yeah,
cartoons? Like, you'll see like Bart Simpson wearing Supreme or Dave or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
on a
like,
skateboard, or whatever, yeah,
yeah, yeah. I would just do shit like that, and basically, I went. Yeah, I was basically like known for that, and I was doing like most of that. But then I was already kind of like well versed in kind of like logo design and stuff like that. You know, like not as versatile as I am now, but I could do it. You know,
mm,
so I kind of like, it got to the point where like I need to be a bit more versatile and kind of like offer a lot more of a range of disciplines, I suppose.
yeah. That's sick, man. So going back anyway to what you said, because I know you cut, I cut you, but so you did that work for your friend. Then obviously you got this person coming in and saying, you know, we want to pay you doing this. What happened after then? When did you, was that the moment that you sort of realized that obviously you can make money from this? And if that was, what happened next?
Right, yeah. So like it's a long, this is like early, man. Like there was part of times where I used to like do stuff for people on Paint because I didn't have Photoshop or whatever on my
Mm,
laptop. Just because, yeah, I don't know, because I just like enjoyed it, I suppose. But so like after that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna look into going back to college and try and get a degree in graphic design or whatever. Like, I don't even know what, I can't remember what it's called now, like the degree or anything like that. But I looked into loads of different avenues. I didn't have enough GCSEs to go back to college again, or no, I didn't have. I had one A level, so I'd have to go back and do another A level and stuff like that. And I looked at like the timeline, and it would have taken around. I probably would have been finishing around now.
Wow.
And this was back in what, 2013, 2014. Like there was not really a fast track into it, so I kind of like binned that off. I was like, and plus I was still working, I had rent to pay and shit like that, so it was just kind of like, it would have been really, really difficult. It would have been, you know, like, yeah, it would have. So what happened is I carried on just doing stuff, well, practicing on my own, and then I eventually got a mentor, which was basically he's like, there's this guy kind of like offering courses to people who want to learn, like kind of like I think it cost around $4,000. And what happened was I would go to London every weekend, or I'd take the week off work, and I'd sit in essentially like a classroom with him, and he kind of like walk me through all the kind of like different, like what you don't learn at college as well. So like, yeah, you can learn how to be a good designer at college or whatever, but like he was like working in the industry for like 20 plus years. So he was kind of like showing me all the ins and outs. I don't feel like I improved as a designer, but the stuff I got from him was more like you need to do this, because otherwise it's like basically the difference between someone like learning how to design in their bedroom and someone going like working in the industry and learning, you know, like all the ins and outs of it. So I already had like a little bit of knowledge just from like the industry basically. But what that did is that kind of like, after that, I just kind of like, I lived on my computer after that, you know.
Really?
And I started charging a little bit of money.
Wow.
Every day, yeah, like every day for like years and years and years. I was just, any spare time I had, I was, you know, like,
that's amazing,
designing basically. And eventually, like I started charging people money, and then that price would rise and rise and rise. And I think it got to a point where like I was working, the warehouse I was working, the people, they asked me to do a little project for them, because I think they saw my Instagram or my Facebook or something, and they said, "Oh, we've seen that you do this. Can you help us out with this?" You know, like they utilized me, and it turned into like a full-time thing. And I ended up working for, you know, like essentially like it was DHL, so I was working practically full-time. I was still only by that point I was freelancing and working part-time there. So I essentially turned that into my full-time job, because all right, I'm going to try and go for this. So I'm going to try and get like an industry job and like learn what, you know, like have that experience of being like, I won't call it corporate, but like more like, I don't know. I was essentially just like that in-house designer there, and I worked on like projects with, you know, like everyone like above me. Like I met the CEO and stuff like that, you know. But like after like I did that for 3 years, and then I realized I was still doing like freelance stuff on the side. So that's when I started getting like jobs for. It was the free jobs that made me think, right. I did the tour, like assets for August Alsina's tour. I can't remember what year it was now, but he did a UK tour. I did all the assets for that. There was I did something for like South by Southwest Festival, and then I did something for T-Pain.
Yep, I think I've seen.
So I'm like, I wasn't particularly enjoying like the DHL work at the time, but it was just like, man, I'm doing all this like cool shit. I just went freelance. I just quit. I quit. Like, I just quit. I went freelance. You know, like I was like, I had a bit of money saved up. I'm just gonna have to just hustle 10 times harder and just like kind of like sort, you know, like just go for it. You know.
Yeah.
And since then, like it's been growing and growing and growing, really. It's like,
Bro, that's actually sick, man. That's actually sick. And this is what I think people need to realize, right? Because I think, seventh tier all about clothing creators, and this is why I wanted to get you on, because I feel like the journey is so important, and that's what people realize. Because there's someone watching this who may want to do the exact same thing that you're doing, and they may be in a situation where they've got a dead end job, and I think you've just shown like it's possible. You can literally leave, like, and that's interesting, man. Because I get what you mean. Because I know a lot of people who do freelance, right? And they're doing really cool stuff. Like they're working for like massive companies, but they're going in, to a job. They're working 8 hours, and they're like, hold on, but I've just done this massive project for like the Big Yellow or something. Why am I here? And that's why I laugh, because it's like your reaction. You're like, nah, this is dead. Like, why am I? Like, you really think and you really ponder.
yeah, nah, like I made it sound real simple. Like, yeah, I just quit. Nah, I fucking shat myself for like 3 months.
Yeah.
I went off sick. I got signed off sick. And I just kind of like sat at home, like still doing like freelance work, but like thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because I think because I got into that position where I've been working for the same company for over 10 years now. And it was just like, like this is all I know. It's just like,
that is crazy.
Like, what if I fall on my face? Like all that. Like, and what's that? What if I'm not even that good? Like shit like that. And it was just like, yeah, I needed them 3 months to kind of like cool down. I'm like, all right, I'm actually doing this. I handed in that letter, and I didn't look back. I don't talk to anyone from that place either.
Mate, I don't blame you, man. So okay, cool. So all right, awesome. So now you've obviously quit and stuff. So you're obviously you're now doing this full time, getting clients, because I know obviously you've worked looking at Instagram and obviously what you've done before. I know it may not be seen, but you've done a lot of like tour merch for like Lil Durk. One thing I want to say, so that Robert Greene book cover art that you did, that was pretty sick, man. I'm a big fan of Robert Greene. I remember you did like a cover art, your own sort of
Oh, the 48 Laws.
yeah.
Like rip off.
Yeah. No, that was pretty sick, man. So, one thing I want to talk to you about now is getting the clients. So, how you've just quit your job? What are you doing? Like, are you DMing people? How's it working?
I'm actually not. Doing that. I gave all my existing clients like the heads up. It's like, listen, I know you like, this is. I've basically gave them the heads up saying I'm doing this full time now. So like, if you want to give me more work, give me more work. And it didn't really work out like that, but I don't know. It just worked. I can't put my finger on it. I didn't like do anything in particular different.
Okay.
I just put more time into my designs, I suppose, and it's just. I think over the years, when you build up a reputation and you kind of like when you've been doing it a long time and you pick up a number of clients, if you do a good job for them, and someone's looking for a designer for something, they're gonna recommend you.
Yeah.
So like, it got to the point where like word of mouth is like the biggest kind of like is where I get 90% of my work.
Wow.
Honestly. And like it took me years to kind of like build that up and just it's just the longevity, like you're being consistent, consistent with the quality of your work or continuously improving, really.
Jesus, that's crazy, man. So yeah, I think you're right. That's crazy, man. That you kept on going, and that's sick, man. Keep up the good work, because that's the thing, man. Like when people get to that point where they've got no option and they have to do it because they're now freelance, or this is their main source of income. You have two people who are like, nah, this is too much work, and they quit and they maybe go back to the job, or they do the same thing that you do, man. They keep on going and they keep on working hard at it, man. So that's amazing. So word of mouth, right? So how did you start doing work with like a lot of the UK artists, because I was looking on your page and I've got some of them here on my notes, you know, Scorcher, M Honcho, Snoop Dogg. I know like you've worked with like a lot of these artists, maybe not, you know, personal managers. I don't know how you do it, but
not direct. It's never direct. When you're doing kind of like tour artwork, especially like you don't deal directly with the artist, because what happens is basically I was freelancing for 3 different promoters.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that works is they'll book an artist and they have to come up with the artwork for the tour. Then they send it back to the artist management. Is that cool? Yeah, sign it off, and that's the official artwork for the tour. You know, so because I was employed by these different promoters, one was Musicalize, one's Mensa Entertainment, and the other one's I Am Next. So that was kind of like most of my kind of like workload at one point as well. Obviously, it's not now, but yeah, it's yeah, they would just like book the artist, and it was my job to kind of like come up with the artwork for it. You know, it's just like
that's awesome.
And that's like kind of like a blessing. It just makes my portfolio look insane.
Exactly. So yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. And obviously, you're working with, you know, these artists or these promoters, right? Is there a piece of work that to this day you're like, this is my best piece of work, this is the one I'm most proud of? Like,
not really. There's been a few in the last like couple of years. Like it comes to like tour stuff, I really liked. Like I did the flyer for the Free Shots of Tequila show at the Royal Albert Hall. I think that was all me, you know, like I wasn't really given much of a brief on that, and I came up with that, and I just thought it looked really cool.
That's pretty sick. That Chipmunk one.
Yeah, I had this aesthetic in my head, you know, like I wanted to create kind of like sort of a bit of a retro vibe, you know. I think it came out pretty well. I think it's whenever I try something that I've never tried before, or I, you know, like, because I'm still learning to this day, you know, like when I try something, like, so I say, oh, can you do something like this? And I look at it and I'm like, how would I do that? And I kind of like experiment. I take the time to kind of like learn how to do that. And yeah, it's like, and when I pull it off, you know, like, I'm really happy with that, you know, like,
yeah, that's awesome.
That's when you work with stuff. Sorry, go on, man.
No, I was just saying, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, man, thank you. It's just like, yeah, that's just like, I think that's what keeps me going. It's kind of like, I'm not doing the same shit every day. Like when I was an in-house designer, I was doing the same shit every single day. You know, like I started feeling how I felt like in the warehouse, basically.
Yeah.
So now, like every day I wake up, I'm like, all right, I got to do this today. This is like every day is a different challenge. So it kind of like keeps me motivated. It can, you know, it makes me proud of, you know, like, this makes me proud of like what, you know, like I feel like I've learned something new today, or I've kind of like, because the job in itself is basically you're given a brief and you smash that brief, you know, like that's what's going to get you hired again and again and again, is you follow the brief and you just fucking smash it, you know, like you keep doing that, then, you know, like you're going to go far. You know, like you're going to keep getting clients.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing, because that's one thing people, you know, need to realize, and I had it on my notes, is recommendations and referrals, man. That's so important. You know, you said it's 90% of the work. The stuff that you do for other people is going to be really, really big for your portfolio, and that's why your reputation is key, man. And I think, you know, kudos to you for, you know, literally just putting yourself out there, because I say it all the time, and I know I've mentioned it before, but it's really scary, man. It's actually really scary. Like, you know, I'm like, you know, just running the biz, you know, me personally, like it's a really scary thing, and I don't think people realize, like, you know, I don't know what the circumstances, you know, when you left that job. Obviously you said it took 3 months, but you may have told someone that, oh, I'm doing this now, and they may not actually have thought of the the repercussions. Like they may think, oh, okay, yeah, that's great. Like, yeah, your design will do amazingly, but in your head, you're thinking, I appreciate that, but this could flop. This could really flop. Do you get what I'm saying? And you took the leap
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Like you don't know because as a freelancer, it's like you never know when your next like commission is going to come from, really.
Basically, yeah.
Like you don't have a clue, like I was like, oh, what if I only get one job a month? Because when I was doing it part-time and working like like in-house, it was like there'd be some months where I wouldn't get anything, just like, or not anything, but like one or two little jobs that weren't like the budgets on them weren't very high, but I just did them just because like I wanted to do something. So like I was like that was in the back of my head, like what if I have a month where like I only get one commission and it's not a very big one, and it's just like, yeah, it's just, and what if I have 6 months where I only get like like one or two jobs or something like that, like that was like the constant battle in your head, like to kind of like like convince yourself that it'll work out. If you work hard enough, it'll work out. And I like a couple of months in, I was like, oh, like this is going great. This is like,
Jesus, that's
yeah,
crazy,
this
man.
is like it.
How did you keep motivated in those months where you didn't get anything, or maybe those couple months? What was keeping you going?
I don't know. Um,
Wow.
just I think like have like the financial side of it, like just knowing that all right, I've got a bit saved away. Like if it's um just for that, like you got like when you work a job, like you normally keep like a couple of £1,000 in your account to just like as a buffer,
Mm,
just in case of emergencies.
yeah.
But if when you're a freelancer, it's got to be a lot bigger, because like like because you got rent to pay, you got like bills to pay, you got like what if your car breaks down, stuff like that. You got to take all that into consideration, like, and like you're not relying on a monthly, like a monthly wage like you normally are, because oh, I can wait, I'll pay for that on payday. You just got to like be like, right, so if I get like if I get like 4 jobs this week, you got to kind of do the maths in your head and just kind of like be a bit more disciplined and like organized with what you're doing, really. Kind of
Yeah.
like it's very eye-opening, actually.
Yeah, no, I can see that, man. I can see that. And you talked about how you did something new every single day, right? And you weren't doing the same thing. With that being said, then, man, how were you keeping your skills sharp? Like in the days where maybe you weren't getting a lot of commissions, you didn't have to do anything. How were you keeping your skills sharp? Like how were you making sure that, okay, I'm coming crisp from the next job, I'm making sure I'm doing the right thing? How are you making sure that your work was consistently good quality?
I would just practice, man. Like I would just like look at stuff that I want to do, or kind of like, or do a couple of courses, like go on get on Skillshare and kind of like learn something I didn't know existed on Illustrator or something like that, like, or just kind of like like when I was, to be fair, as soon as like, because I know there's a lot of graphic designers that don't get much work, so they make like they'll just like create a brief for themselves and they'll post that up or whatever. But I don't really do that because like I want to be able to like, I like to showcase my commissions, I like to show my work, I want to explain, I want to tell a bit of a story with it, so yeah, it's a difficult one, man. It's just like, I can understand there's like a trend now where people kind of like posting like concepts, like artwork for like releases and stuff like that, and some of them are really good, but I don't really like it because it's like here's how I would have done this cover. So yeah, but you wasn't given a brief you don't know what the people, you know, like the official cover is not what is approved by the label or by the artist or whatever, you know. There's a reason it looks like that. Like, it's easy to say, oh, I think I could do better than that, and then do my own and hope that, you know, like tag them on Instagram and hope that they see it, goes, oh, you're going to do my next cover. It doesn't work like that, man. Like the original designer followed a brief and did it to their specification. He did a good job, you know. Even if like someone looks at it, goes, that's not that good, but in my head, it is good because that's what was approved, you know. That's, I look at things like differently than that, you know, and it's just kind of like, yeah, it's I guess it's because I'm like, you know, like I'm already established and I know, you know, like I understand how these things work a bit more than like younger people are not probably not getting that many commissions maybe. It's, you know, I don't think that's just the right way to go about it.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I don't know too much about it. I don't know anything about it, but yeah, man, that's interesting how, you know, people get commissions and work in the design game, you know, because it always seems like it's a hard industry, man, and it probably is. You know, you know a lot more than me. You know, you always get the reference
Yeah.
of an artist. You guys are, well, you guys are artists basically, but it's always you always have this stereotype of, oh, you know, they do art, you know, it's not taken seriously, or they don't make a lot of money from it. And I think it's changing. I think it's really changing now, because we have people like you who are like, you know, obviously doing well, and there's a lot of stuff you can do with graphic design nowadays, you know.
Yeah, well, to be fair, like it depends what kind of like level you're at and where you are in general, really. Like when people say don't, you know, like there's not much money in it, because it depends on, it's because it is a very much like a who you know kind of like industry, man. Because like I started off doing like mixtape covers for 50 quid or 40 quid or whatever for a grime artist or whatever. But you know, like if you're working with, like if you're being kind of like sourced out by like a record label, like they're commissioning you, like the budgets on that are like 10 times that, you know, for like a, depending on what the project is. But you know, it takes time, you know, like you're not gonna like, you know, you're not gonna be a graphic designer for 2 years and automatically just get like hired by like Warner or Universal, you know, like it doesn't work like that, you know, like you got to kind of like, you got to go through the journey a little bit, you know. It's and once you like learn how to like maneuver in those kind of like situations, I suppose, and you kind of got like up your prices when the you know, when the time's right as well, you know, because I know there's a lot of designers out there who are, you know, like very talented, but the like rates aren't very high, and they probably think that's what the going rate is, but you know, it depends who asks, you know. Like people are willing, you know, like the price of something is what people are willing to pay for it, or whatever the people's budget is, you know. Sometimes there's big budgets, sometimes there's low budgets, you know. It's like it just takes a while to get there, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's again, you know, you're dropping some real knowledge here, man. Because again, people need to realize that it takes time. Like, it really takes time. Like for you to be working at that job for 10 years, and you know, just doing a little doing the design for one of your mates, and then you know, obviously doing well after. It takes time. It really does take time. And I think one thing you said just now about being a graphic designer for 2 years, people may think 2 years, Jesus, that's a long time. It would have already blown off. I'll be making tens of thousands per month. Nah, it takes a long time. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it takes a long time to get to a stage where, you know, you're up established, and you know you're doing well. And I think that's important, man. And I think, you know, that's something that I think people forget now, because we're in a world now where people, the hustle culture, you know, people think, oh, you know, you can make quick money, it's not going to take too long, blah blah blah. But I don't think it works like that, you know.
Yeah, I see a lot of that. I see a lot of people think, oh, that looks quite easy. I could do that and make as much money as him, but then they realize it's not that easy. It's just like if you're, you know, like you could be a like bloody designer on Fiverr and be happy doing that, then that's fine, you know. Plus everyone's journey is different, you know. Like some people might pick it up a lot quicker and like get like the knowledge quicker, you know, or like figure out the industry quicker, or might know people, you know, and find themselves in a better position like quicker. Like to get where I was like today, it took about 7 years, you know.
Wow.
So, but you know, but that's my journey. Everyone's journey is different, you know. It really depends on like circumstances and where you are and who you know and how good you are, really. You know?
Yeah. That's crazy, man. So one thing I wanted to ask you as well, right, is when you're doing these projects, right, you know, you're probably, you know, on your own. I know you said you're a recluse. Have you ever enjoyed the process more than the final product, like, you know, making the design? Or is it more a thing where I just want to get this done and I can't wait to see what it looks like? Or is it vice versa, where like you enjoy the process, you enjoy the journey? How does it work for you, like doing freelance and doing design in terms of making them? What do you enjoy more, would you say?
Everyone's different though. That's the thing. Like every day you're not dealing with the same person, you're dealing with different people who have different ways of working or different or better explaining things than other people, or not, you know, really bad at explaining and like good at giving out briefs, and you know, some people don't brief you at all and tell you to run with it, you know. So I think when people start to trust you more on your own judgment, because like I've been doing this a while now, I know what I'm doing, and I'll make suggestions and, you know, like how things should look or stuff like that, you know. I do enjoy the process, but like when you're designing a logo, for example, I think the worst thing is when you think you've designed like something that's like amazing and like you've like nailed it on the head, and you get it back and it's like, I don't like any of these, you know. That's when it gets a little bit like, oh, all right, this is going to be a long night.
Yeah, it's going to be a
You
long
know,
night.
like this is going to,
Stay up another 5 hours.
yeah. And it's just like, yeah, this is like, oh, I can't, and you already know now that this is going to be really difficult, you know.
Yeah,
But you know, but then some like really quick and easy, you know, like it's, and you have fun doing it, you know. It's not, it's different. It depends how you look at things, really. It's just like I enjoy doing kind of like tour flyers and stuff like that, because I like kind of like I always get a loose brief and kind of like brand guidelines to go with it or whatever, or kind of like a theme, and then I can go away and like think, right, how can I make this like, for like Little Dirk, for example.
yeah,
Like when I saw I was doing that, I was like, okay, so he's just dropped this album. His artwork looks like this. This is the tour for this album. It's got to be on brand. You know, like, so people will look at that and say, see it straight away. It's a Little Dirk show. You know, like that's the official show. Like it's got, you know, like, and that was one of them I was really, really happy with, because I felt like I kept it on brand, and I just made it look official, even though I wasn't hired directly by Little Dirk to do it. But I kind of like showed him like, yeah, this, you know, like, and to see someone who's got something like free, like I can't remember, he's got millions of followers repost my work.
yeah.
That was like a great feeling, you know.
That's amazing,
But
man.
yeah, it's like, yeah, it's just, there's not really like a straight answer to that question. Is what I'm saying.
That's cool, man. I'm happy with what you said, man, and it's amazing, you know, because you have done a lot of really sick tour merch. I was tour artwork. I was looking on your page, you know, really cool, man, and you know, obviously you said you enjoy that, right? But how do you then, so say there's a brief or a project that you're not really looking forward to, how do you sort of stay disciplined and put as much time and put as much effort in that? Because that was something I wanted to ask you. How are you staying disciplined on a day-to-day basis? Because obviously you're a freelancer, right? There's no one above you telling you you need to do this. You literally work for yourself. How are you staying disciplined and getting up every day to do what you need to do?
Actually, yeah. So yeah, like the only person that you answer to is yourself, and like in your head, you're like, all right, I got to finish this job. I got to get this work in today. Otherwise, I'm not going to get paid. You know, you know. I'm not gonna, like I'm not gonna progress. So I get myself up at, like 6 o'clock every morning.
Amazing.
Like a normal day with me, like I'll go to the gym in the morning and I'll come home and I'll kind of like start my day. So that kind of like gets me in kind of like the best possible mental, like what's the word, like state of mind, that I could possibly be. And then I'll start my day, like I'll get to my desk and I'll start my day as if like I've just come to work, like I'm working a normal job, and I'll work. And then like I'll check my emails and I'll see what's going on, see what I have to do for the day, and I kind of like write it down and stuff. And then I'll just like tackle each task as it comes, really. And then I'll make sure I stop at a certain time, because if you're in that kind of like creative kind of like state of flow late into the night and then you try to go to sleep, it's just going to mess up your sleep pattern, because you're not going to be able to sleep because your brain's too stimulated and stuff like that. So it's just like I've had to kind of like discipline myself like that. Otherwise, like I've had burnout a few times, but like like that's like a surefire way to get burnout real quick. Like not sleeping enough, and yeah, you need your sleep, man.
Yeah, yeah, man. That's yeah, you're right. I'm actually struggling with that at the moment, to be honest with you. Like the discipline, I'm really struggling with that, and it's nice to hear that you have a structure, because I think it's quite rare. We always think, okay, it's the top dogs, Gary V, all of these guys, they're doing like the mad routines. But even just yourself, just saying you get up at a certain time, go to the gym, that's pretty cool, because it obviously gets you in the right headspace, in the right state of mind to start the day, man. And I think that's great. And I wanted to ask you then, like, what has been some of the most difficult times as being a freelancer? Because again, right, it's not a thing where there's no comfortability. Like this could literally all end in one day. It's not a safe place. Basically, you're not at a job where, like you said, paycheck to paycheck every month. Some months there it's great, some months it's bad. And what has been the most difficult part for you, whether that's mentally, or how has it been like?
But yeah, to be fair, like, because I work a job where I'm like every day my kind of like my craft is judged by others that don't do what I do,
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Yeah, that's
So like
yeah.
it's really difficult sometimes, like it's just like, and then you got like deal with stuff like imposter syndrome and stuff like that. It's like, am I really that good? Have I just winged it this entire time? Like stuff like that. Like it's a constant battle within yourself sometimes, especially when you're not really like, especially before, when you're not really getting like the recognition that you feel you might deserve, maybe, or you're not getting any recognition at all. There's people out there that don't like credit me for my work, and like they're right not to if they pay me to do that. But like stuff like that, like you feel like, and then you got to deal with kind of like bad clients and stuff like that. And like it does, like there are days where it's just like really shit. Like you just like, you don't feel like quitting, but at the same time, you just like kind of want to like stay in bed and not like do it, but I do it. Like it's just, you just got to kind of like get yourself, and once you get used to kind of like, once you've experienced every kind of like scenario once or twice, then you kind of get used to it and realize that it's part and parcel of what you do. So you got to like, like you take it a lot better each time it happens. It will still happen, but like it's whatever, you know, like it's part of the lifestyle now.
That's yeah.
You know, like I try not to get too, you know, like worked up about those things, because once it's happened once or twice, you know, like you kind of get used to it, you know.
Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it, and I think, bro, that's actually really sick that you said that. That's a good way of voicing that your work is basically criticized by people who don't do the same thing as you on a daily basis. I think people forget
Yeah.
that. I forget that. I forget that when I'm doing something, and I send it in, and I realize, oh shit, like this is these people don't know what they're talking about. But at the end of the day, right, you know, that's that's
Mm.
that's the whole game. That's how it's worked, and I think that's a good way of putting it, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard.
Yeah, because another thing as well, because especially when you have a vision of how you want something to look, and you kind of want to run with that vision, you pray that they fuck with it, you know,
Yeah,
and then they don't, and you go in a completely different direction, and it's not really what you wanted it to be or anything like that, you know. But like, it is what it is, you know. Like you gotta, you know, they're the ones that are paying you at the end of the day, you know. Like, you know, it's a bit disheartening sometimes, but again, you know, like once you experience it a few times, you know, like you realize, like, just do it like that and just don't fight it, because you're just going to be wasting your time at the end of the day, you know,
yeah.
time and energy, money and
That,
whatever else, you know.
that's a good way of looking at it, man. That's that. Yeah, I feel like you've got a pretty balanced way of sort of looking at things. It's not too personal, you know, because I think a lot of the time I have a lot of friends who do graphic design, do you know producing, and they take it very personally when you know they get a response. Shit, man, this is terrible, or blah blah blah. It seems like you've got a very, you know, balanced way. How have you got that, man? Because a lot of people don't, especially in the industry. You'd think they would, doing freelancing. How have you managed to get this sort of mindset of it is what it is?
I don't know. I'm a pretty spiritual dude as well, so it's just kind of like that helps, you know. Like I meditate a lot. I give myself a little quiet time, you know, like before I start, I'll light up some incense or something like that, and I'll just like I won't do anything. I'll just like drink my coffee and just sit there, you know. Even like when I'm kind of like going through my like whole process of like designing and stuff like that, it sometimes like I'm in such a state of flow that it just like feels like, you know, it does feel like meditation sometimes, you know. um I don't know if anyone else like feels like that, but you know, you know, I think that's why I love it so much as well. You know, like I don't really do it. I don't think I'd ever do anything else, and I didn't really think I'd be doing this, but I'm glad that I am. You know, but I don't know. It's just like I'm really good at kind of like pushing out negative thoughts now. I kind of like I'm really good at letting stuff go. You know, because if I don't let it go, it's just going to hurt me. You know, so like yeah, I've mastered the art of kind of like letting go, I suppose.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. I'm working on it, to be fair, you know. That's sick
Mm.
that you can do that. And I know you mentioned obviously about, you know, getting credit as designers, but I wanted to ask you, do you feel like graphic designers and freelancers get a lot of credit today? Because like I said, you know, you've done great work. And
Mm.
obviously loads of people, you know, you said with that little post reposted that that's obviously, you know, quite good. You know, people like your work, but do you feel like on the whole people that do what you do and freelancers get their dues today, their kudos? What do you think?
I'm in two like minds about it, because like I truly don't believe I'm owed that.
Hmm.
I just appreciate it when it's done.
Okay.
So like, and I know there's a lot of creatives out there that are like very, very militant on people like getting credited for their work, and rightly so. Like they deserve to be credited, especially if you're like up and coming, and like being credited could get you your next job. I could like completely understand that. But in my head as well, like when you're like, if you see like a big release, big commercial release, like Ed Sheeran, for example, when he posts his album cover online or whatever, do you ever see like the credit for the designer on there? No. like you don't know, you know. So like I feel if you're getting paid what you're owed, like what you're worth, or how you deem yourself to be worth, it's down to them whether they want to credit you. I think it's really nice when they do, but I don't expect it, and I don't get upset when it doesn't. But I know there's people out there that do, and I understand why. I think I think if I was in the if I was in like my client shoes, I would credit people, but like at the same time, you know, that's just me. That's just how I like to, I like to like uplift people, you know, it's, but I'm never in a position to do that, so it's just like I get it, but it'd be nice if every creative was credited, especially with how like big social media is these days. But I understand that's not how the world works.
Mm.
So yeah, it's
Wow.
right.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you've got that viewpoint, because again, most creatives nowadays would want that credit of, I've done this, shout me up on Instagram and stuff. But at the end of the day, man, I think you made a good point. If they are paying you for it, that's credit enough, right? Like that's money going into your pocket at the end of the day. It is nice when they do credit you, but if they don't, they've paid you for the work, that could be credit enough. And I wanted to ask you, man, obviously you've been doing this for a while now. Is there still things that you feel like you could be better at? Like, are you still sort of refining your skill set at the moment?
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm not. I'm nowhere near the finished article right now, but I want to be better at motion design. I want to be better at like different things. Like I'm still improving on typography. I feel like I'm great at typography, but there's always room for improvement, especially if you like look into people who only do typography. It's just like it's insane. Like is I feel like I'm a really good all rounder, but at the same time, like there's always areas I can improve on, and I will improve on because I keep improving. Like if I feel like there's going to be times where like I don't want to get to where like I'll do a job and I'll look back on a job from like 3 years ago, and there's like I want to be able to look at jobs I did like 3 years ago and cringe because that shows improvement. Like there's a lot of work I do not like that I've done from as soon like 2 years ago even. I look at that, I was like, oh, I could have done that so much better, like hindsight's a bitch, but it's just like how, because you always kind of like progressing, I suppose, like you look and then you look at kind of like themes and trends, what goes on, like got to keep up with all that, stuff like that, so it's not like I think, yeah, like I said, if I'm still looking back at work I did like 2-3 years ago and not like kind of like criticizing but critiquing myself over it, then that's how I know I'm in a good place, really.
That's amazing. And that's sort of the next question I wanted to ask you. Like, looking back on hindsight, is there anything you would have done differently with pieces of work, or just how you handle things, or etc.? Can you hear me? Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, just looking back differently. Looking back on hindsight, is there anything you would have done differently, like with handling, maybe how you did something or situation?
Yeah, but it's like it's it's hard to say because it's like you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, I could have kind of like used a different font here, or like I could have masked that a bit better, or I could have done this or that, but at the end of the day, you've done the job, you've been paid to do it, what's the point, like just you know I just like, kind of critique it from like a personal point of view, like there have been times, especially like because I lost my Instagram account like last year, and I was re-uploading stuff. I'm like, all right, I've got this. Like, say, like I did like a cover for Wiley like 4 or 5 years ago, you know. And I look at that and I'm like, right, just let me quickly redo this a little bit, you know,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
change a couple of little things, you know, like resize a few things, just made it look like how I would have done it today, you know, just
Mm.
cleaned it up a little bit, like, because, you know, like 4 or 5 years ago, you know, like there was bits of it that was a little bit rough, you know, but, you know, like, and then I would repost it to my account, you know, and pretend that I didn't just fix it, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
But if you go on iTunes, you'll see like that version isn't, you know, like the first version's on there, you know.
Mm, mm. Bro, that's amazing. That's amazing, man. I think that's important, man, for all creatives and business owners, freelancers. It's important to sort of realize how you need to keep on getting consistently, because it's not a thing where you have a training program. You are literally your own boss, and you need to make sure that you're coming consistent, you're coming sharp all the time, man. And I think some people forget that. I forget that a lot of the time, you know. But yeah, I feel like that's important. And one thing I did I wanted to ask you, someone, for people coming up now, upcoming graphic designers, is there any advice, anything that you would have told yourself that you like to tell them? Because I know a lot of people maybe watch a podcast and they may be specifically watching this because they know you're going to be on here, they want to do what you're doing. Is there any advice that you'd want to give out to them?
Just keep going. That's all I think it is. Like, don't lose the faith. If you really, really want to do that for a living, you'll find a way. You know, like no one's journey is exactly the same. Like I know people who are like, I've spoken to people who've just come out of university and looking for jobs right now. You know, there's people, and I know people who have like not done it all from their bedroom, and you know, for like 20 years. You know. And made like a really good living out of it, you know. Like I don't think, you know, like no one's journey is the same, but like I think just keep trying to improve, you know. Like that's the only thing. Like I know like the industry is very, very, very saturated right now, which is a shame, but you know, try and think of something, come out with a niche to kind of make yourself stand out. I think like not that just, but to kind of like think of kind of like a strong point, what you want to like focus on, and kind of like make that why, you know, like give people a reason why they should hire you over next designer. Like show them what you can do, you know. That's the only advice I would give, you know. Like I didn't do that. I got good at doing, no, I wouldn't even say good. I just kind of like, I started off uploading like cartoony type of designs. I'm not even doing them now, you know. Like I won't do them, you know. But you know, but that was kind of like my foot in the door.
Yeah,
So like, yeah, and yeah, it was like everything happens for a reason, doesn't it?
yeah, man. I think you're right, and I think, bro, I think the advice that you said is really important, because I think people forget it. People, again, we live in this fast-paced world. We think everything's meant to be quick, and we don't realize it takes time. And I think a lot of people give up because it's really hard, and they really, really think, damn, I'm not making any money from this. I've come out of university, I'm in a lot of debt. I don't have any money. I haven't got a job. Something needs to happen quickly. But if you, like you said, man, keep on doing it, keep on sticking to it, something will happen eventually. And I think that's really important, man. And have you got any goals for the rest of this year then, in terms of anything you want to get better at? Just like have you got anything that you're trying to achieve?
I have, in terms of goals, I think I've actually reached one, but I can't talk about it right
Fair
now.
play, fair play, fair
Like,
play.
yeah, I could tell you in private, but
Oh, cool.
yeah, there should be an announcement, not just regarding myself, but like, yeah, I've basically, yeah, I've kind of like, there's a big project coming up in the next like 2 to 3 months, hopefully, maybe a bit later. I don't know. It all depends on a lot of things, but yeah, um, I want to say, yeah, I want to be this and that, but like, I'm on that road right now, so it's just like, I'll wait till it actually happens.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's amazing, man. That's sick. And last question: how do you want your work to be remembered in the future? Looking back, maybe 50 years, it's a long time. But is there any way you want your work to be remembered by people?
Well, because I don't kind of like, I know it's kind of like seen as like an art form, or like people see themselves as artists and stuff like that. I don't really see it like that. Not like, feels like a question that would ask an artist, but I'm just kind of like following briefs and guidelines really a lot of the time. Like, I'd like to be, I'd like to be kind of like thought of as kind of like a, like reliable, kind of like talented, like someone with a good eye, someone who's good at what they've done, like that's how I want to be remembered. That's how I want to be thought of now. So like, that's, yeah, just that really.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. I've got a little promotion section because I want people to find out where you're at, man. So, where can people find you? Like Instagram? What are you saying, man?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram, so it's Joe X Whelan, WHELAN.
Nice.
On both, yeah, both Instagram and Twitter.
Lovely, 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 jubbly. I'm going to put all of them in the link in the description below. Guys, 7th Tier social media is all in the description below as well. Our Instagram is 7th Tier, Facebook 7th Tier, Twitter 7th Tier, and TikTok 7th Tier. If you've enjoyed this podcast and you're probably busy, you want to listen to this while you're working, maybe while you're doing a little, design for one of your friends, you can listen to us on Spotify on the Tier Talks, type us in there, also on our website, www.7thtier.co.uk. And if you like a clothing as well, go check us out. Website again, www.7thtier.co.uk/shop. We clothe creatives. We make content for you guys. But if you want to watch us, we are on our YouTube channel, 7th Tier. We do podcasts every day, not every day, sorry, every Friday at 7 p.m. We interview creators like Joe. We interview any creatives, really, graphic design, anything really. As long as you're creative, you're trying to get yourself out there, we will get you on a podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe. We're trying to hit to 100 subscribers at the end of this year. If you've liked it, like it. If you enjoyed it, share it with your friends. And we have a second channel as well called More 7th Tier. We have all of the highlights on there. It's like a sort of BTS behind the scenes sort of thing, snippets of this podcast. And yeah, guys, I just want to say a massive thank you to you, Joe, for coming on. Really do appreciate it, man. Real, I think you've dropped a lot of knowledge, and I feel like a lot of people can learn something from what you've said, man. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right. I appreciate you having me on, man.
No worries, man. And to all creatives listening, I think Joe said it himself. Guys, keep on going. Like, you can't give up. If times are tough, you're coming out of uni, whatever your situation is, keep on going. Something will happen. You've just got to keep on being consistent every day, waking up, doing the work. Make sure you don't give up, and eventually something will happen. So make sure you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you later. Peace.